Mr Speaker.
David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Well, it was interesting that last speaker finished around priorities and the flag change and that, and I remember the New Zealand First Party has come out with a policy that only citizens can now vote in New Zealand and not residents. So the New Zealand First Party has an attack on our migrant communities, saying that they are not valued members of this society and saying that they are not able to vote. Next, the Labour New Zealand First Green Coalition will come up with taking away the voting for migrants.
I regret interrupting the member, but I think Mr Mark needs to address interjections to the member, not to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And that member, Mr Mark, has been interjecting because he is worried that he will see that the New Zealand public will now know that New Zealand First wants to take away the right to vote from those people that are only resident and not citizens. Taking away the right to vote is something that this Parliament should take very seriously, and it is a disgrace that the New Zealand First Party wants to do that to New Zealanders that work hard and make this country so strong, and that is the disgrace that is the New Zealand First Party in this Parliament. And the New Zealand First Party will not stop at this referendum to take away that right to vote. They will take that into the election, and they will take it away on other issues that they see that residents shouldn't be allowed to vote on, but only citizens, and that's becoming the policy of the New Zealand First Party. We know that's how they work. They've done it in the past, and they'll continue to do that again in the future. That's the way they operate. We all know that. And all those other parties in this Parliament that will support the New Zealand First Party, the Labour Party and the Greens Party, they need to come out and make sure that they're not supporting a policy which would take away the vote from residents in this country like the New Zealand First Party is intending to do. I know they're led by the Don Trump of New Zealand politics, but if that's the way they want to do it, there will never be a wall high enough for the New Zealand First Party. They will never build the wall as high as Don Trump can do. Their leader has never employed anyone as Don Trump has. Their leader would never be able to build the wall that the New Zealand First Party would love to see in this country. And Mr Speaker, it's outrageous to see the attack from that party on our rural sector. That party that would not support the trade agreements of the TPPA. Go to each of those farmers in Northland, go to each of those farmers around the country and say to them that you come to this House and you are the saviour, or the New Zealand First Party says it's the saviour of farmers, and yet won't support one of the biggest things this government and this Parliament could do for farmers this year, and that's support a trade agreement. Why won't they support a trade agreement when it actually will deliver for New Zealand farmers? Why don't they do things that actually matter? Why don't they do something that's substantial and vote for something that will help New Zealand farmers? And why do they vote against New Zealand farmers in this House? Why do they consistently vote against the people they say that they want to represent? And that is the dichotomy of the opinion within the New Zealand First Party. They do not understand what actually it means to be a farmer. None of them are farmers. There are no farmers in the New Zealand First Party. There are no one there that understands what actually farming is about. Nobody in the New Zealand First Party is going to support farmers when they need them to have support in a trade agreement. And I want to see the New Zealand First Party actually vote for trade agreements, vote for farmers, vote for regional New Zealand, vote for a stronger economy, vote for economic growth, and not vote for higher walls, no voting, and taking away rights from migrants as the New Zealand First Party intends to do. Mr Speaker, these things are going well in one of the biggest provincial cities in New Zealand, in Hamilton. In Hamilton, we have delivered for the people of this country. There is a positive mood in that city, and the good representation of the two local MPs, Tim McIntyre and David Bennett, is part of that. Not only have we delivered new schools for our electorates, New schools being opened this year in the north of Hamilton and Rotorua, and a new school to come in that area too, with the junior high school opening this year and the senior high school opening next year. Something long awaited by residents in that area, and the previous Labor Party candidates have stood on pieces of ground in that area and said this would be a nice place for a school, but never actually delivered the money to build those schools. And National delivered the money, National built the schools, National gave the residents what they wanted, and National has delivered, and National has a plan for economic growth that is delivering there. The other plan for economic growth in the Waikato is the expressway, Mr McIndoe. And there was a question in the House today about the Cambridge bypass. Ron Mark is wondering what the Waikato Expressway is. It's a 4-lane road, probably two more numbers than he can count to, but it is a 4-lane road, Mrs. And 10 long years, or 10 years, to build a road that New Zealand First never supported. And the Cambridge bypass opened before Christmas, and many residents have used that because it is an exceptionally great link between the Waikato and the Bay of Plenty. And a long time and under budget. Yes, exactly, Mr McIndoe. And what is more, there's more to come. The Huntly bypass is now under construction. Anyone travelling south from Auckland and coming to live in the fine Waikato region, which is a great opportunity for all Aucklanders, will see the Hamilton bypass that has been started to be constructed, a $450 million project delivering for regional New Zealand. $450 million spent in regional New Zealand, spent for regional New Zealand, and spent to build stronger provincial cities in our country. And not only that, we have the sod turning on the next part of the Waikato Expressway, the Hamilton bypass, $800 million approximately for that bypass, including another $100 million on top for the Long Swamp 4-laning. That $800 million is going to be spent in Hamilton, going around the boundary of Hamilton, providing a bypass there that will create the modern city that will be the economic growth hub of the Auckland, Hamilton, Tauranga growth triangle, the Golden Triangle. And that is something that this government has come into Parliament and delivered for provincial New Zealand. It has delivered for our city, and it has delivered for our country. At the same time, we have seen unemployment reducing through this country, and that is something that I think many New Zealanders have been looking forward to for many years. And we have seen the minimum wage increasing substantially in New Zealand. We have seen average wages increasing substantially in New Zealand, and we are seeing low inflation, and we have seen low interest rates, which means that New Zealand households are in a much better position. The New Zealand economy grew by 2.3% into the year to September 2015. That is great growth when you consider the world economy and how delicate it is out there. And that's all part of good economic management, of prudent economic management, and delivering the infrastructure, just as we have seen in Hamilton, to grow our country and our city. Mr. Speaker, New Zealand is in great shape. Hamilton is especially in great shape. Hamilton has a strong future ahead of it. It is a provincial city that knows where it's going, that is getting the investment and delivering. And we welcome all people to the city of Hamilton, and we're not intending to take away their voting rights like the opposition will do when they get a chance at some point to put bills in front of this House in their name of their members' bill. And the Labor Party says to sit down. Well, the Labor Party are supporting the New Zealand First Party. They are mates. They are together in this. And the Labor Party is against migrants as well. They have shown that time and time again, wanting to reduce immigration into New Zealand. It's part of their policy. Their policy is to reduce immigration. That's how they are good bedfellows with the New Zealand First Party. And next they will be taking away voting rights. That would be a disgrace to this Parliament. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.